whatever their rules, and we will sanction as accordingly or counsel and help. However, there's an increase in the viciousness or the level of callousness with regard to how students treat with each other. When we were at school, maybe we'd get into a fist fight. The likelihood now is for weapons to be brought to school.
All right, let's ask though, is this a spillover where the parent is not in full control of a child, that this could be one of the problems?
It is one of the problems. There is no one fix, and there are many parents who make very good effort at trying to help their children to become good citizens, but there is a resistance, and so we can't say that it's just because parents are not doing their part.
All right, let's look at solving the problem. How would you solve a problem where this child is always seen as a child that gives a lot of trouble, into a lot of fight? How you stem a problem like this?
Right? We still have that problem, so we don't say we have a solution that fixes everything. But you have to approach children who manifest problems like that on many different fronts. There is the soft side where people counsel. There's a religious side where you encourage religious participation.
Mm-hmm.
There is sanctions that you do. There's also giving them an avenue for outlet. Sometimes some persons are just misguided. What they want is a place or a space where they can be themselves or be successful. We have found that, and we have had many students who manifested problems, who have become part of structured activities at school, who it de-emphasizes that. Sometimes it gets extinct. So there are many things that we have to do to insist. What the problem is to get the commitment. They don't think like we do. They don't see the future if it continues that way. And so we have to help them to get to the point.
All right, let's look at some of the rules that the school have. That's a layout. Students need to abide by this rule. Like for example, we're talking based upon your dress code, the uniform, the tight pants, and the above knee skirt behavior.
Right. That is where we believe that the parents can make a significant difference. That is where they can, because it can be seen. And if we allow what is obvious to continue, then you're not going to be able to stop the other things. And so while there are many students who make an effort, for example, they would have a set of uniform that they put in their bags, and they find some way to get into it between home and school, so that
Mm-hmm.
when you come to school you have that problem. If you don't see such a child, the child goes back and everything seems to be okay, but the child is manifesting a problem, and later on it becomes a habit. And so parents have to pay attention that way.
All right, let's look at the Parent Teachers Association, and how is it that the parents are responding to the school?
Every normal Jamaican person knows and assists. It is the defiance, it is the consistent monitoring that is lacking, both at school and at home. So I wouldn't, we have at our school, sir, I would commend the parents of our students. We have a huge PT and a huge following,
Mm-hmm.
and they actually turn up. We treat with them in the same way they treat with us, respectfully. And so I cannot complain that we don't have a PTA support. I will not sit here and knock parents for not coming to school and paying attention. The truth, though, is that there are some parents who we would love to see, and there are some that we are always seeing. We want those that we are always seeing to come, and we'd love to see the others.
Has there ever been a time that they sound to me like there's been a time where, all right, me get trouble, you always see my parents, and another child get trouble, you never see the parents yet.
That's the case.
All right, let's look at some of there are things that we talk about achievements with the school. Tell us about some of them, or we see how much we can get.
Okay, we have been moving. As you know, we are not one of the traditional schools,
Mm-hmm.
but I believe that with the pride, with the willingness to learn, we have seen success in many areas. We give students avenue so that when it comes to co-curricular activity and curricular activity, we do well. We winners of the science export case quite recently, a significant achievement in academics. Persons don't normally pay attention to schools like ours with that. It was an innovation that was to be determined, and we determined one. Much to the glee and delight of many persons who came. We are always a significant force in cheerleading. 4-H is our own. I believe that we'll win again. This may be a ninth or 10 year running.
I was about to ask you, coming out on top, how much year inside of 4 years?
It could be about 10 years.
10 years.
Could be about 10
Okay.
years.
And you're looking to top it tomorrow.
Certainly. We have no doubt where that is concerned. There's also our cultural activities. We keep the country's culture at the forefront of our school. The teachers give their effort, the students participate. And so we have many, many trophies from JCDC to show. In fact, our current one of our children choir is one of the top 7 in the island.
Top 7. There's this thing with with high schools where they do the choir thing on
TV.
Mhm.
All right. There was a time when it was prohibitive for many schools outside of the corporate area just to go, and it costs a
Okay.
lot.
Mhm.
I understand that the prize money
Mhm.
would now allow the schools to participate.
Okay.
It is not that some schools wouldn't. It is that the activity costs, and you don't see the costs at the front, but to transport, to costume, to cheering,
Mhm.
and of course to feed, it does add up. So if we
So
are able to, if they had the prospect of winning, and the prospect is there of recovering your costs, while you want to give students opportunity, you don't want to give them the opportunity at the expense of everybody else.
mhm.
So we couldn't just want to go into a competition, spend all of our little monies on that, and then the other students have no avenue.
Okay. And expenses there.
Yes.
All right, let's look at sports. In do you take part in cricket?
Okay. We I think we are the best school in Portland in cricket.
Oh,
It
the
is
man
without
is
it.
this man.
All right. I shouldn't say I think we know.
All right. Cricket, football. What's happening? Tell us.
All right. Football this season, this last season, we did not do as well as we had hoped to, or we didn't replicate the previous season. We are still trying to understand why, but we are a regular interzone on feature, and we tend to go to the end. Headley Cup cricket, we just came through that, and we are now in the knockout, the 2020, the T20. In
Mhm.
fact, we are awaiting a decision because we are in a three-way tie with 2 other schools for a semi-final berth.
Mhm.
So we're doing very well in that.
What about track and field?
Uh, that I could say we have no effort. No effort in the sense that we have not been producing any athletes I've mentioned, and it's not an area where we find that the students are very interested. Athletics takes a lot of discipline, a lot of training, and a lot of commitment. And I don't know that we have that level of discipline yet where we will get them into it.
All right. There is a question that when I ask this, people might say, okay, well, but is there like a breakfast program for less fortunate people? Do you carry such?
Yeah, we have every program. As I said, we are a poor school. We have a breakfast program with their path. In fact, we have nearly 1,800 students, and our path program feeds somewhere around 1,000 to 1,100 students. Separate from,
How far do you get students from?
we get students from all over Portland, and as far as we have students coming from in the junction.
In the junction? Wow.
Yes.
So let's look at the teachers' relationship. How is it with your teachers?
Well, I believe I have a good relationship with my staff, so
Mhm.
yes, I don't think that there's anything. If you were to interview any member of my staff, I don't think I would have to pick one of them and ask them to say something nice about me. So you I believe so. I have not had an indication that I am not favored among them. That is not to say that we don't have differences from time to time,
Mhm.
but I don't think they figure that I'm picking on them or that they are being singled out for attention when it is not necessary.
We noticed that you are no, is it a six? You have a 6 pound block now.
It's not a 6-1 block. We have started a 6-1. This is our third year in a 6-1. Yes.
Mhm. And what caused you to?
All right, we have many students who, when they leave our school, want to complete a K program,
Mhm.
but they had no avenue. And the school that was near to us that gives students opportunity, it really couldn't serve everybody.
Mhm.
And we couldn't ask them to take all our students because they have theirs, and there are other schools where they would have to take from as well. And so we believe that it would have been good for us to be able to serve our students. And we're not in a competition, so to speak, because we are not trying to offer what they offer. Since the schools will serve Portland, what we are trying to do is to go into the technical competencies, which is our strength.
Mhm.
So they can do the natural science and the finance there, and the technical competence comes to us.
What are some of the vocational areas that your school offer?
I think we have the largest. We have auto mechanics, welding and machine shop, woodwork, electrical, technical drawing, cosmetology, home management, food and nutrition, business education, and I'm missing one. I'm sure I'll get to that. Oh, clothing and textiles.
Okay, and your school is doing good with IT?
Yes, man. Our pass rate is extremely high in IT.
Mhm.
Um, we're doing very well in that.
All right. Is there any outstanding student from your school that has achieved exceptionally well?
You're going to get me into problems, sir. There are many, and I don't want to start calling names
No, no,
because
no. But I mean, we have students that stands out. Sometimes you find out that this person might won
okay,
an
the
award,
last
all courtesy of the Gleaner or from the Star, or some award because doing so good in education.
all right. Well, I will not. I can't think of a profile like that immediately, but I
Mm-hmm.
can point to some persons who have indicated to the public that they are proud past students of our school. The HR manager at KS,
Mm-hmm.
the HR director, Marlon Farmer, is a past student.
Okay.
At our last prize giving, Bjorn Thomas is a past student. He's a chartered accountant with one of the bigger firms in Kingston.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are many other students who I could point to, but as I said, I really don't want to get into that because then I
Serious
get,
list.
yes, we get into some people saying
All
you
right.
forgot me.
You know, the geographical location of your school right now. Tell us about the community and all. What's the response to your community? Is it that the community is doing well? The feedback with the community and the school.
All right. Um, there is a difference. There are many persons who are paying attention to us and are seeing what is happening. And there are some persons who still have a mindset that has been molded from a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result of that, we still have apathy when it comes to Port Antonio High School. Some persons said, like they would say to you that, that's a student of Port Antonio High School. I didn't know that they could do that, or did they do that?
Mm-hmm.
As if to say it is something that should not have happened, or it is a surprise that it has happened.
Okay.
So we would love for that to go. It will take time, and it will take persons paying attention as the others do. Because if you pay attention, you will see.
All right, we know that we are almost out of time and we take you off a business. But tell us some of the things that you would want to happen if you had the power for going forward with Port Antonio High.
All right. First thing, this I would love for the security of the plant to be improved.
Mm-hmm.
I would love us to be on one shift,
Mm-hmm.
and I would love for the students to think of the place as the best place for it to be. I believe the number of opportunities that exist there academically for students to get into is not being wisely used. And it comes from what I mentioned earlier on, the perception of the school. If technical and vocational education is serious and is important, but persons tend to believe that it is somebody who is not academically gifted that should participate in that.
Mm-hmm.
And so the take up or the response is not what I would love it to be. When I was at school, somebody probably misguided me that I was a bright boy and I did science.
Mm-hmm.
And when I left school, I had to go to look another opportunity. However, there are many other guys who went into melding and machine shop and technical education who were able to make themselves men and women right away and have continued their education. So it's not to stop there. And so these guys are now engineers, having had their hands with it from the very beginning.
So we just want to say special thanks for coming through, but this is the part of the. Are you, before we go, are you one of those principal that out on the road, you're still responding to your kids?
Well, if I didn't do this, I would be doing my job. I cannot see them outside on the street and ignore them
Mm-hmm.
because yes, that's the same student who's going to come to school. It's the
Mm-hmm.
same person. I am the same person. And so I would say something to you whether or not you're on the compound.
Has there been any missing children from your school?
Well, students have gone missing from time to time, but not for very long.
Okay, because we had one in from Buff Bay High the other day, from Port Antonio Primary. Is it Port? No, Buff Bay Primary the other day. So I was saying, just looking at it while here talking, say what is it for your school? The Amanda Alert thing.
No, we haven't lost students. We have students have, as you would have intimated just now,
Mm-hmm.
have run away, but we have found them within a day or two. They are not really gone. They are just away from home. They are somewhere else within Portland community. It's a good thing though. We haven't lost anybody. We haven't lost any of our members
Mm-hmm.
that way. We haven't had violent deaths, and we have to give thanks. We haven't had um, even the last accident that was mentioned. We had only one student. I'm not saying that this school, the other schools did something wrong to have their
Mm-hmm.
students trying to go home. However, we were the ones whose name were called.
Okay. All right. Anything you want to add finally?
Well, finally, I want to thank you for the opportunity. I want to ask the Port Antonio committee and the wider committee at large to continue to support schools in general and schools like mine in particular.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love it if it comes to me. We would love to be able to turn out individuals that are like ourselves, productive. We believe that each individual is equal. We have functional differences. And so, while that exists, we should develop everybody to their full potential.
All right. The question we want to ask you, not as a principal, but as a normal person, what makes you positive?
I was brought up that way. My outlook on life is for it to be better. And my influence is the persons with whom I relate are always thinking of doing things better and not exploiting others. Fairness, justice is what I think.
You're a churchman, go church?
Yes, I'm a religious person, yes.
All right. We just want to say a special thanks to the principal of Port Antonio High School, Mr. Graham. Thank you very much for coming through. And you know, peer